You won't believe this. Today, we've got something absolutely massive to unpack. A moment so shocking, so mysterious, it has the entire WWE universe losing its mind. Here's the hook, and trust me, you're not ready for this. Roman Reigns brings Zilla Fatu as a new Shield member on WWE Raw. That's right, one of the most dangerous factions in recent memory is in the making. Roman Reigns has been off the grid since his crushing loss at WrestleMania 41. Now, the rumors are flying. The tribal chief is on the brink of returning, and he's not coming back quietly. He's coming back with vengeance, and with the kind of backup that could dismantle Seth Rollins' dominant crew. Reigns is assembling something fierce. The word across the wrestling world? He's reforming a Shield-like faction. But this isn't nostalgia. It's evolution. And at the center of this rebirth is Zilla Fatu, a rising force with Anoa'i blood running through his veins. This potential new alliance is being called one of the most dangerous formations WWE has ever seen. And the target? Seth Rollins and his faction, who've been holding WWE in a chokehold since Reigns vanished. The stakes? Massive. The tension? Unbearable. The anticipation? Off the charts. So, gear up. Subscribe. Hit the bell. Because this is wrestling juice. And we're diving into the madness. Imagine this. Monday Night Raw. The lights drop. The arena pulses with anticipation. Fans are already on their feet. Then, boom, Roman Reigns' music hits. He walks out, head held high. A storm behind his eyes. But this time, he's not alone. Standing next to him? Zilla Fatu. Towering. Unflinching. Dangerous. The crowd explodes. And then comes the declaration, war on Seth Rollins and his faction. This isn't a simple return, it's a full-blown revolution. Let's unpack the why, the how, and what this could mean for the very future of WWE. Understanding the bloodline legacy. To understand why the alliance between Roman Reigns and Zilla Fatu is sending shockwaves through the wrestling world, we need to go back. Back to the origin of one of the most dominant dynasties in WWE history, the Bloodline. This isn't just a stable. It's a family. A legacy. A blood-soaked pedigree forged through decades of warfare in the squared circle. From Yokozuna to Rikishi, from the Usos to Roman Reigns, this family has defined generations of wrestling greatness. And in 2020, Roman Reigns rewrote the rulebook when he returned as the tribal chief. Flanked by Paul Heyman and his cousins Jimmy and Jey Uso, he built the bloodline into a machine. Not just dominant, unbeatable. Reigns went on to hold the undisputed WWE Universal Championship for over 1,300 days. That's not a reign, that's rule. He steamrolled legends, John Cena, Brock Lesnar, even The Rock. The Bloodline wasn't a team. It was an empire. But empires fall. Everything unraveled at WrestleMania 41. Roman Reigns entered the night as the tribal chief. He left it shattered. In a triple threat match against Seth Rollins and CM Punk, the unthinkable happened. Paul Heyman, Reigns' advisor, his architect, betrayed him, aligning with Rollins and orchestrating Roman's downfall. The WWE Universe was stunned. Reigns lost his title. His dynasty crumbled. And then, he disappeared. Gone from TV. Gone from storylines. Leaving a power vacuum that Rollins was more than ready to fill. In Roman's absence, Seth Rollins didn't just hold the line, he dominated it. With Heyman now guiding him, Rollins formed a juggernaut of his own. Monsters like Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed became the new standard bearers of dominance. Together, they tore through the roster. No one could stop them. And with each passing week, the WWE Universe began to wonder, was the era of Reigns truly over? But now, the whispers are getting louder. It's not over. The rumors roaring back. Here's where things get juicy. The word across wrestling's tightest circles? Roman Reigns is coming back to Raw. And he's not returning as a solo act. The buzz? He's bringing back the Shield, but not the one we remember. This is a new breed. And the name leading the charge with him? Zilla Fatu. Who is Zilla Fatu? Zilla Fatu is the son of the late, great Umaga, a man who carved a legacy with fire and fury. Zilla has made his name on the indie circuit, earning a reputation for raw aggression, drive, and unshakable loyalty to his Anoa'i roots. In a recent interview, he said it plainly, "Whatever Roman needs, I'm there." That's not just talk. That's loyalty written in blood. And now, fans are convinced, Zilla's about to take center stage, backing Roman Reigns as his enforcer in this reimagined Shield. But here's where it gets wild. More than just Zilla? Zilla may be the centerpiece, but he's far from the only name swirling in the rumor storm. What about Jey Uso? He's been out of sync with Solo Sikoa and the fractured bloodline, but reconciliation with Roman isn't off the table. Then there's Hikuleo, the 6 feet 8 inches powerhouse from New Japan Pro Wrestling, rumored to be WWE bound. And don't forget the possible female addition to this new Shield. Names like Naomi and Tamina Snuka are in heavy rotation. Naomi, with her agility and charisma, is bloodline by marriage. Tamina, with her brute strength and experience, is family royalty. Either woman would send a strong message that this version of the Shield means business, and it's breaking the mold. A new Shield, a new era. Now let's get real. The Shield, in its original form, Reigns, Rollins, Ambrose, was a cultural phenomenon. They were calculating, brutal, tactical. And they tore WWE apart until Rollins' infamous betrayal in 2014. Now Rollins leads his own crew, and Reigns is gunning for payback. This isn't about nostalgia, it's about evolution. Reigns brings the strategy. Zilla brings the fury. Jey brings the unpredictability. And if Hikuleo joins? That's destruction in every direction. If it's real, brace yourself. If this new Shield is more than a rumor, WWE is on the edge of a seismic shift. Reigns leading a new faction into battle against Rollins and his empire? That's headline material. That's main event chaos. Survivor Series War Games practically writes itself. SummerSlam 2025 could become the stage for the most heated rivalry of the decade. The big X factor, can they coexist? Let's not ignore the elephant in the room, can this Shield 2.0 even stay together? Roman is the tribal chief. He demands absolute loyalty. But Zilla Fatu? He's young. Ambitious. Not a follower by nature. Will he play second fiddle forever? And what happens if Jey's past grievances resurface? What if Hikuleo wants more than muscle duty? This faction could be as dangerous to itself as it is to its enemies. Rollins is no joke. Let's not forget, Seth Rollins is a mastermind. He's not just a showman, he's a tactician. Now, with Paul Heyman whispering into his ear, he's more dangerous than ever. His team of Breakker and Reed isn't just muscle. It's dominance. A war with Roman's faction would test every ounce of Rollins' strategy. This feud could burn slowly and explode violently. Every corner of the wrestling internet is lighting up. X, formerly Twitter. Reigns and Zilla Fatu? That's a faction I'd pay to see dismantle Rollins. Zilla's too ambitious to just follow Roman. Bet they clash eventually. Reddit threads are fantasy booking non-stop, Naomi as enforcer. Tamina as the veteran muscle. Hikuleo as the wild outsider. Even Ava Raine, The Rock's daughter, is being floated. Nobody knows where this is going. And that's exactly why it's must-watch. Fan theories. Who's really in? Let's break down the most viral theories flooding social media, wrestling podcasts, Reddit threads, you name it. Naomi as the female enforcer. She's been gone long enough to make her return major. She's bloodline by marriage. She's fast, athletic, and underused. Pairing her with Roman and Zilla would instantly shake the foundation of WWE's women's division. Tamina finally gets her due. She's a legitimate NOI. She's got strength, legacy, and has always played the background. Fans are begging for her to finally step into the spotlight. This faction could be her long-awaited moment. Zilla Fatu won't stay loyal. Some fans are already predicting a power struggle. Zilla's hungry, confident, and not built to take orders forever. He might start strong beside Roman, but end up turning on him just as fast. Jey Uso returns, and splits the group. If Jey comes back into the fold, old wounds could reopen fast. His past tension with Roman might not be buried deep enough. Could we see a Shield 2.0 civil war? Sami Zayn makes a shocking return. One wild theory, Reigns calls on Sami Zayn, his former honorary Yus, for backup. Imagine Sami returning as the brains of the new operation. The crowd reaction would detonate. Paul Heyman turns again. Yes, this theory is nuclear. Heyman betraying Rollins after helping him take Reigns down? Fans believe it could be part of a long con, Reigns and Heyman playing the game from the shadows the entire time. Dean Ambrose returns. Pure fantasy? Probably. But that hasn't stopped the internet from dreaming. Imagine Jon Moxley walking down the ramp in Shield gear to stand beside Roman, one fan posted. Even if it never happens, the speculation alone is giving fans chills. Match predictions, what's coming? Let's talk about what these storylines could actually lead to in the ring. War Games at Survivor Series. The setup is too perfect to ignore. Team Roman Reigns, Roman, Zilla Fatu, Jey Uso, Naomi, or Tamina. Team Rollins. Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and a fourth, possibly Drew McIntyre or CM Punk. You want drama? You want violence? You want a legacy match? That's it. Other fan-booked fantasy matchups lighting up comment sections. Roman Reigns vs Seth Rollins for the WWE Championship at SummerSlam. Naomi and Roman vs Rollins and Liv Morgan in a mixed tag match that tears the house down. Zilla Fatu vs Bron Breakker, the future of the business, colliding now. Tamina vs Becky Lynch with full bloodline interference. And here's a sleeper theory fans are running wild with: Zilla wins Money in the Bank and cashes in on Roman. Imagine that twist. Tribal betrayal at its peak. A new dynasty rising over the ashes of the old one. Final thoughts: where this all leads, this isn't just about revenge. It's not just about rebuilding. This is about reclaiming control. Roman Reigns didn't just lose his title. He lost his identity as the tribal chief. Now he's coming back to take it all back, not by asking, by conquering. Zilla Fatu is the future. But can Roman really control that kind of energy for long? Seth Rollins has the gold, the team, and Paul Heyman. But can he outsmart the most dangerous version of Roman we've ever seen? And then there's the WWE Universe. Fans aren't just watching, they're locked in. Because this story has everything: family, betrayal, redemption, power struggles, unpredictability. This is WWE at its most volatile. This is wrestling at its best. Wrestling Warriors, we just broke down one of the most explosive storylines circling WWE today. Roman Reigns is coming back, with Zilla Fatu by his side, and together, they're building a reimagined Shield to go head-to-head with Seth Rollins and his faction. From dynasty to downfall, from betrayal to resurrection, this saga has it all. Now it's your turn. Who's joining Reigns? Who turns first? Who walks out champion when this all explodes? Drop your predictions in the comments. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss a single twist, turn, or betrayal. This is Wrestling Juice. The chaos is here. And we're just getting started. Stay sharp. Stay ready. And always, stay undisputed. Roman Reigns is back. And he didn't come alone. That's the headline that blew up the wrestling world like a pipe bomb this week. Monday Night Raw. Live. Unfiltered. The lights dropped. The crowd roared. And then, his music hit. The tribal chief. The head of the table. The man we haven't seen since his empire crumbled at WrestleMania 41. And standing right beside him? Zilla. Freaking Fatu. Let's not sugarcoat this. What we saw wasn't just a comeback, it was a declaration. Roman Reigns didn't walk back into the WWE to rebuild. He came back to burn it all down. And now, a new question echoes across arenas, forums, podcasts, locker rooms. Is this the birth of Shield 2.0? Or the rise of something far more dangerous? Because here's the thing. Reigns didn't just bring Zilla Fatu onto the stage, he brought him into war. And the target is crystal clear, Seth Rollins. To understand how earth-shattering this return is, you have to remember the silence. After WrestleMania 41, Roman Reigns vanished. No promos. No tweets. No interviews. No Paul Heyman. It wasn't just a loss. It was an exile. The man who held the undisputed WWE Universal Championship for 1,316 days walked out of the ring like a ghost. Gone. And in his absence? Seth Rollins rose. He didn't just fill the void, he built an empire in it. With Paul Heyman in his corner, and monsters like Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed at his side, Rollins became more than a champion. He became a kingmaker. So, when Roman finally came back, people expected fire. They expected fury. But they didn't expect this. Not a new Shield. Not a bloodbound war faction. Not Zilla Fatu. And yet, here we are. Let's break it down, second by second. Because WWE fans? We felt this one in our spine. Raw. The final segment. Tension is high. The crowd's restless. Then, lights out. And in that darkness, you can feel it. Boom. Roman's theme drops. The arena detonates. Chants flood the stadium like a wave. Tribal chief. Tribal chief. Phones go up. People jump out of their seats. And there he is, emerging from the curtain. Calm. Cold. Calculated. But this time, something's different. Behind him is a figure, young, wide-shouldered, serious as hell. Zilla Fatu. No pyro. No smile. No pomp. Just presence. The crowd stutters. Murmurs. Wait, is that Zilla? Is that Umaga's son? Yes. It is. And Roman doesn't need to say a word. He stands tall. He surveys the ring. The camera pans to Rollins' faction watching from the ramp. And Roman gives the most menacing smirk we've seen since his Universal Championship days. This isn't nostalgia. This isn't fan service. This is vengeance. Immediately, the internet explodes. Hashtags trend in seconds. Hashtag Zilla Fatu. Hashtag Roman returns. Hashtag Shield 2_0. Hashtag Heyman traitor. And the theories start flying like Superkicks. Is this the start of a new Shield? Is Zilla Fatu the new Roman in training? Is the bloodline reforming under a new name? Will Jey Uso join? Is Naomi coming in as the faction's female ace? What does this mean for Paul Heyman? Who strikes first? Wrestling forums crash. Twitter goes unhinged. One post racks up 1.5 million views in 20 minutes. If Zilla is Roman's new enforcer, Rollins better watch his back. This ain't 2014. This is war. This isn't just a comeback arc. It's a revenge arc. At WrestleMania 41, Roman Reigns lost everything, because of Paul Heyman. The man who stood by his side for years. The man who orchestrated win after win. The wise man. He didn't just walk away. He switched sides. Right in front of the world. Aligning himself with Seth Rollins, Roman's former Shield brother, and the man who already stabbed him in the back once in 2014. The betrayal? Historic. The damage? Personal. The fallout? Legendary. Roman wasn't beaten. He was set up. And that's why this return cuts deeper than any storyline in recent memory. This isn't just a superstar re-entering the spotlight. This is a general returning to a battlefield he once ruled, now occupied by traitors. Now let's talk about Zilla. Because his debut wasn't random. It was calculated. Zilla Fatu didn't just appear, he arrived with the weight of dynasty on his shoulders. The son of Umaga. Nephew to the Usos. Bloodline to Roman Reigns himself. But don't get it twisted. Zilla isn't here to ride coattails. He's here to wreck people. On the indie circuit, Zilla built a reputation for unfiltered violence. Fast hands. Heavy slams. A cold stare that speaks louder than promos. He's not polished. He's raw. But in that rawness, there's danger. You look at him, and you don't see a follower. You see a weapon. And now Roman's holding the trigger. So where do we go from here? We're staring down the barrel of something monstrous. Roman Reigns, betrayed, unchained, and more dangerous than ever. Zilla Fatu, hungry, loyal, and genetically built for war. Seth Rollins, on top, but standing on a trapdoor. Heyman, slippery as ever, and maybe not done switching sides. And the fans? We're not just watching. We're bracing. Because this feud? It's not a storyline. It's a reckoning. So, buckle up. Because over the next 28,000 words, we're going deep into every twist and every theory. We'll break down what Zilla's arrival really means. Why Roman might be building a faction deadlier than the Shield ever was. Who might join this new alliance, and who might betray it. Why Seth Rollins should be sleeping with one eye open. And how this one storyline could reshape the very core of WWE. This is not just wrestling. This is warfare. Stay tuned. Hit that like. Subscribe. Turn on that bell. Because Roman's not back to play games. He's back to take everything. And if you think you've seen chaos before, you haven't seen anything yet. It started like any other episode of Monday Night Raw. The show was already electric. Fans had seen a couple surprise returns, a couple backstage brawls. Tensions were running high across every division. The tag titles had changed hands earlier that night. Rollins had opened the show with a smirking promo about legacy, power, and what it meant to be a real leader in WWE. But what no one expected, what no one saw coming, was what happened in the final 10 minutes of the broadcast. The last segment began like hundreds before it. The camera cut to Seth Rollins in his ring gear, flanked by Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. Paul Heyman stood at ringside, hands clasped together, that signature sly grin on his face. Rollins was mid-sentence, mocking Roman Reigns, reminding the crowd that the former tribal chief hadn't been seen since WrestleMania. He called him soft. Broken. A relic. Then it happened. The lights dropped. The arena went completely black. Fans didn't even scream at first, they paused. Like their brains couldn't catch up to what their senses were telling them. Then, a low rumble from the speakers. That unmistakable bass-heavy intro. The first notes of Roman Reigns' entrance theme thundered out. The audience erupted. Not cheered. Not screamed. Erupted. Like a bomb had gone off. The camera jerked around as people in the front rows jumped to their feet, arms in the air, some of them already in tears. You could see grown men mouthing Roman's name, pointing toward the stage like they were seeing a ghost. And in a way, they were. Because Roman Reigns, the longest-reigning world champion of the modern era, the tribal chief, had become a ghost. After WrestleMania 41, he disappeared. No tweets. No interviews. No cryptic vignettes. Nothing. It was like he had been erased from the company's ecosystem. And now here he was, walking through the curtain, like a lion re-entering the jungle. He moved slowly. Intentionally. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't angry. He was focused. Like he had already planned every step of what was about to happen. The camera zoomed in. The beard was fuller. His eyes darker. He wore a black tactical vest, not quite shield gear, but close enough to stir memories. The crowd chanted his name, louder than any time in the past 2 years. But then came the moment that changed everything. The camera panned slightly to his right. Someone else was walking behind him. You could hear the crowd shift in tone. They weren't just screaming now. They were questioning. The second figure stepped into the light. Tall. Solid build. Black shirt. Braided hair. Silent. Zilla Fatu. For a heartbeat, the arena froze. Then they exploded all over again. Zilla's name trended within 5 minutes of him appearing on screen. He didn't do anything flashy. No gesture. No pose. He didn't need to. His mere presence said enough. The bloodline connection was visible. His resemblance to his father, Umaga, was chilling. His stoic demeanor screamed intent. Roman stopped at the top of the ramp. He raised the mic to his mouth. But he didn't speak right away. He looked around the arena. He looked down toward the ring where Rollins stood, eyes wide but trying to play it cool. Heyman's expression turned from smug to stunned. Reigns finally spoke, and his words were simple. "You thought you could bury me?" He paused. The crowd was already chanting welcome back. "You thought you could take everything from me, and not pay for it?" He turned his head toward Zilla, then back toward Rollins. "This is the beginning." Then he dropped the mic. No catchphrases. No promo. No tribal acknowledgement. Just a threat. The screen faded to black. Raw ended without outro music. Just the sound of the crowd losing their minds. Social media went into overdrive. YouTube uploads of the return hit over 5 million views in under 8 hours. WWE's own tweet with the 5-second clip of Roman and Zilla standing side by side became the most liked post of the month. Reddit threads ballooned into thousands of comments, many of them titled simply, "What just happened?" In that 10-minute stretch, WWE didn't just resurrect Roman Reigns, they reintroduced him as something darker, something colder, something far more calculated. And the key to it all was Zilla Fatu. Insiders later reported that this return had been kept tightly under wraps. Very few staff backstage knew Zilla was even in the building. His arrival was staged with military-like precision. He was snuck into the arena hours earlier under a hoodie and sunglasses, avoiding press and backstage personnel. His locker room was blocked off. When he emerged, it was under blackout conditions. No one saw him until the red light hit his face on stage. And that was by design. Because WWE didn't want just a return. They wanted a moment. A nuclear one. And they got it. The shock value wasn't just about seeing Roman again. It was about what it meant. This wasn't a re-entry into a rivalry. This was a cold reset. A strategic attack. Rollins' expression during those final seconds told the story better than words ever could. He didn't look scared, he looked like a man who just realized his window of control had a closing date. Paul Heyman didn't blink once from the moment Zilla stepped into the light. And the fans? They sensed what this was immediately. This wasn't the Bloodline 2.0. This wasn't the Shield Redux. This was something new. And infinitely more dangerous. Speculation was instant and intense. Why Zilla? Why now? What does it mean that Roman didn't come out with Jimmy, Jey, or Solo? Is Zilla replacing them? Is this a hostile takeover of the original bloodline? Could Roman be forming his own private army, a tactical unit that's part Shield, part bloodline, part something else entirely? And maybe the most important question of all, how much of this did Paul Heyman see coming? Theories poured in. Some suggested Roman had been plotting this return since the night Heyman turned. Others believed he only chose Zilla because he needed someone untouched by WWE politics. A blank slate. A soldier loyal to him alone. Not the company. Not the legacy. To him. And Zilla? He didn't say a word. No backstage interview. No tweet. Not even a stare into the hard cam. He just stood there, side by side with Reigns, and let the world speculate. Because in wrestling, silence can be more terrifying than rage. By the end of the night, one thing was clear: Roman Reigns was no longer looking to reclaim what he lost. He was here to take everything he never got to touch. And Zilla Fatu was going to help him do it. The following morning, WWE.com's homepage was dominated by a single image: Roman standing at the top of the Raw stage, one hand on Zilla's shoulder, Rollins in the background looking up in disbelief. The caption read, "The King returns. With a Prince of War." The fallout had begun. And there was no turning back. WWE stables come and go. Some fizzle. Some explode. A few go down in history. But none, have carried the gravitational pull, the legitimacy, and the sheer fear that the bloodline did at its peak. And to understand why Roman Reigns walking back into Monday Night Raw with Zilla Fatu sent shockwaves across the industry, you need to understand what the bloodline really was. Not just a faction. Not just a heel group. Not a vehicle for merch or pop ratings. The bloodline was domination, disguised as family. And like all dynasties, its collapse only made its ghost more dangerous. Let's go back to where it all started. The Anoa'i family name is already legendary in pro wrestling circles. It's not just Roman Reigns. The family tree includes Hall of Famers, monsters, innovators. The wildest part? They didn't build their legacy on marketing, they built it on in-ring destruction. Yokozuna. Rikishi. Umaga. The Wild Samoans. The Usos. Solo Sikoa. The Rock. And of course, Roman Reigns himself. One family. Multiple generations. All dominating the biggest stages in wrestling history. But it wasn't until 2020 that Roman truly flipped the table and sat at the head of it. Coming off a pandemic hiatus, Roman Reigns returned to WWE as something entirely new, a cold, manipulative, brilliant anti-hero. The man who once played the smiling babyface became the calculating tribal chief. And it worked. He aligned himself with Paul Heyman, a move no one saw coming, but one that instantly raised eyebrows. The same Paul Heyman who orchestrated Brock Lesnar's reign of terror? Now whispering in Roman's ear? It was the perfect storm. And the birth of the modern bloodline. Roman didn't just form a faction. He built a machine. A system of dominance that operated like a criminal empire, with loyalty as currency and fear as policy. The Usos joined him reluctantly at first. Jey even fought Roman in one of the most emotional storylines WWE has ever produced. Remember that Hell in a Cell match in 2020? "I did it for the family," Roman said. That wasn't just a promo line. That was a mission statement. Jey broke. Jimmy followed. Together, they became the enforcers of Reigns' tribal kingdom. Then came Solo Sikoa, the silent assassin. A new generation of violence. The bloodline was complete. And with Paul Heyman managing the strategy and diplomacy, they became untouchable. For over 3 years, Roman Reigns stood on top of WWE, virtually unchallenged. Every time a threat emerged, the bloodline neutralized it. John Cena? Squashed. Edge and Daniel Bryan? Outplayed. Brock Lesnar? Smashed, multiple times. Kevin Owens? Repeatedly humiliated. Drew McIntyre? Crushed on home turf. Even The Rock, the so-called final boss, couldn't dethrone him. Roman wasn't just winning. He was rewriting history. 1,316 days as champion. In modern wrestling, that kind of reign doesn't happen. The business moves too fast. Fans turn too quickly. But Roman did it. And the bloodline was the reason why. What made it work wasn't just dominance, it was drama. Every relationship inside the faction was layered. There were betrayals. Reconciliations. Power struggles. Jey Uso's emotional arc as the heartbroken cousin. Jimmy's conflicted loyalty. Solo's eerie silence. Heyman's constant gaslighting. The bloodline wasn't just a wrestling story, it was Shakespeare in steel chairs. And that's what makes Zilla Fatu's emergence now so haunting. Because the original bloodline didn't just end. It shattered. The implosion began when the cracks in Roman's armor started to show. Tensions flared. The Usos turned on Roman. Jey walked away. Jimmy hesitated. Solo remained, but uncertain. Then came WrestleMania 41. Roman vs. Seth Rollins vs. CM Punk. A match set up to be Roman's final stand, a showcase for his reign. What it became was a historic betrayal. Paul Heyman, his trusted mouthpiece, his wise man, his architect, betrayed him. Live. In front of the world. Mid-match. He handed a steel chair to Rollins. He shouted instructions to Punk. He sabotaged Roman's entire strategy from the inside. And it worked. Roman lost. The bloodline collapsed. And he vanished. That brings us to now. Zilla Fatu's presence isn't just the start of a new faction. It's an echo of the old one. Because Zilla isn't just any wrestler. He's Umaga's son. A direct bloodline descendant. The same blood that ran through the original stable now walks beside Roman again. But there's a key difference. Zilla didn't come in with emotional baggage. He wasn't broken by the previous war. He didn't fight family in the ring. He didn't plead for loyalty. He came in cold. Ready. And that changes the game. Because the original bloodline was powerful, but it was complicated. Emotions always ran hot. Jey's disobedience. Jimmy's rebellion. Even Solo's eventual doubt. Zilla brings a blank slate. He brings legacy, but none of the drama. None of the doubt. Just pure, unfiltered potential. That's terrifying. Roman doesn't need a brother this time. He needs a soldier. And that's what Zilla looks like. A new breed of an OI. Molded by street survival and indie wrestling, not by WWE's corporate system. He's not here for hugs. He's here for war. And fans picked up on it instantly. After the Raw return, hundreds of Twitter users began calling this the Cold Line. A new iteration of Roman's vision. The same DNA, but stripped of warmth. No handshakes. No family dinners. Just conquest. There's speculation that Roman is now recruiting from the outside of the original family core. Hikuleo, from NJPW. Tamina. Naomi. Even outsiders like Ava Raine. All rumored to be circling. But Zilla was the first. Because Roman knew he needed to rebuild not just with blood, but with purpose. There's another layer here too. Zilla represents Umaga's legacy. A legacy that never quite got the crown it deserved. Umaga was feared, respected, and iconic, but he never won the big one. He was always the threat, never the ruler. Zilla, under Roman's guidance, could be positioned to finish what his father started. And maybe that's why Reigns chose him. Because this isn't just about revenge anymore. It's about succession. Roman Reigns can't fight forever. But if he builds a new empire? A new bloodline? He needs an heir. Zilla might be it. And that's why the alliance shakes WWE to its core. Because it's not nostalgia. It's evolution. Roman's return isn't about going back to the past. It's about learning from it and fixing the parts that broke. And the fans know it. Because while everyone's watching Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman bask in their temporary control of WWE, Roman Reigns is already building something colder, smarter, and deadlier. And Zilla Fatu is the first piece on the board. Who is Zilla Fatu? If you're a casual fan, the name might sound familiar but not fully formed. If you're plugged into wrestling's underground circuit, it hits like a warning shot. And if you're a diehard follower of the Inoue family's legacy, that name doesn't just carry weight, it's a cannonball. Zilla Fatu is the son of the late Umaga, one of the most feared and devastating superstars WWE has ever seen. But he's not just here to honor that legacy. He's here to surpass it. And now he's standing shoulder to shoulder with Roman Reigns on Monday Night Raw. No words. No pyrotechnics. Just presence. And in that silence, something very loud was made clear: Zilla Fatu is not coming to play the background. Let's start at the core: who he is, where he's from, and why his name already matters. Zilla, born Elijah Fatu, is the son of Edward Umaga Fatu. Umaga was a war machine in the ring. Debuting in WWE with the Samoan spike and an unstoppable aura, Umaga was one of the most believable monsters in pro wrestling history. He wasn't flashy. He was violent. And his matches with John Cena, Jeff Hardy, Triple H, and Batista are still shown as textbook examples of what it means to be a heel who hits like a freight train. But Umaga passed in 2009. His death left a void. Not just in his family, but in the entire Samoan dynasty's future. That's where Zilla's story picks up. Zilla grew up with pain, pressure, and purpose. Losing a father like Umaga wasn't just an emotional loss, it meant the world would constantly compare him to a ghost. And yet, he didn't run from it. He leaned into it. He didn't sign with WWE right away. He didn't take a shortcut. He started from the bottom, literally. He served time. He admitted to mistakes. He didn't hide it. He's spoken about it in interviews. He's talked about how prison taught him control, perspective, and how much he had to lose. He didn't pretend to be perfect. He owned the chaos. When he came out, he didn't beg for a contract. He trained hard. He entered Reality of Wrestling, the Texas-based promotion founded by Booker T. That's not a small school. That's a boot camp for killers. And Booker T himself saw the spark. He's gone on record saying Zilla reminded him of a younger version of Roman Reigns, hungry, dangerous, aware of his family name but not relying on it. Inside the ring, Zilla developed a style that was equal parts tribute and transformation. He has Umaga's aggression. The grounded brutality. The way he attacks with full body weight, not just limbs. But he also has speed. Awareness. Technical skill that hints at even more evolution to come. His promos? Few and far between. But when he talks, you listen. He's not flashy on the mic. He's surgical. Measured. Dangerous. When asked in a recent sit-down what his goals were in wrestling, Zilla responded without blinking, "Whatever Roman needs, I'm there." That line set the internet on fire. Because it wasn't said as a kiss-up. It wasn't desperation. It was a statement. It told fans two things: loyalty and ambition. Zilla isn't trying to replace Roman Reigns. He's aligning with him. Learning. Watching. Waiting. And if this alliance builds the way many insiders think it will, Zilla could end up doing what no one else in the bloodline managed to pull off: survive with Roman, without falling under him. Let's be clear. Roman Reigns has never been great at sharing power. The Usos were soldiers, not partners. Solo Sikoa was muscle. Paul Heyman was a mouthpiece. But Zilla? He carries the same darkness Roman has. The same cold detachment. And that's what makes this pairing so unpredictable, and so terrifying. Because this might be the first time Roman has aligned himself with someone who doesn't need him. Zilla can run through people on his own. He's not a tag guy. He's not filler. He's a future main eventer with an aura that most developmental talent would kill to have. WWE scouts have reportedly been tracking Zilla for over a year. The company had concerns about his background, but Reigns pushed. He vouched for him. Not publicly. Quietly. Strategically. And now, the moment was right. Zilla debuted not with a match, not with a vignette, not with a training montage, but by walking side by side with the most powerful man in the business. What does that tell you? It tells you that WWE knows what they have. And they're not building him slowly. They're strapping him to Roman's warpath and letting the story accelerate itself. Already, fans are fantasy booking Zilla into major events. Money in the Bank? He's being called the wild card. Survivor Series? Fans want him in the War Games match. Royal Rumble 2026? People are predicting he'll be Final Four. He hasn't even wrestled a televised WWE match yet. That's unheard of. But the present speaks for itself. It's in his posture. His stare. The silence he holds when the camera's on him. It's old school energy in a new school body. And here's the wild card everyone keeps whispering about. What if Zilla isn't just here to support Roman? What if Roman is building Zilla to replace him? It sounds crazy. Until you look at Roman's arc. He's done it all. Headlined WrestleMania after WrestleMania. Beat Cena. Beat Lesnar. Carried the company through the pandemic. Reigned as champion for longer than anyone in the modern era. The next move for him isn't more matches. It's legacy. And Zilla could be the legacy play. If this is Roman's final empire, Zilla is the one he's crowning. The problem? Zilla might not want to wait that long. Because loyalty and ambition don't always coexist. And fans are already speculating, what happens when Zilla decides he's done standing beside the king? What if he wants the throne? And if that's the arc WWE is building, mentor turns into rival, we could be looking at a multi-year saga. A slow burn explosion that ends with Zilla Fatu versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 43. The father-son echoes. The tribal legacy. The betrayal. The weight of expectations. The need to either uphold or destroy what came before you. It's all there. And even if WWE never goes that route, the mere possibility makes every second of this alliance 10 times more compelling. Right now, Zilla is a loaded weapon. He's young. He's untested in the WWE spotlight. But he's fearless. He carries every ounce of Umaga's intimidation, but none of the limits. He doesn't have a character that needs translation. He doesn't need face paint or war dances. He doesn't speak in rage. He speaks in warning. The message is clear, I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to end you. And if Roman Reigns is the one aiming that weapon? Seth Rollins should be worried. Because this isn't the Shield. This isn't family drama. This is a war engine. And Zilla Fatu is just getting started. Let's not rewrite history. Seth Rollins didn't wait for Roman Reigns to fall, he helped push him. What happened at WrestleMania 41 wasn't just the end of Roman's 1,316-day reign. It was a calculated coup, engineered in part by the man Roman trusted most, Paul Heyman. And at the center of it all was Rollins, the architect turned executioner, seizing the throne with the kind of precision only he's capable of. But let's go back before the betrayal. Let's talk about why Seth Rollins didn't just beat Roman. He outmaneuvered him. For years, Seth Rollins lived in the shadow of Roman Reigns. Ever since the Shield disbanded, Rollins carried a chip on his shoulder that no amount of championships or accolades could erase. Roman was always the guy. The centerpiece. The face of WWE. Rollins was many things: Grand Slam champion, Mr. Money in the Bank, the visionary, but he was never the face. He wasn't the one WWE trusted to anchor the company. That distinction belonged to Roman. And it stung. Even after Rollins cashed in on Roman and Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 31, becoming WWE champion in the most iconic heist of the decade, he still played second fiddle in the company's narrative. Roman had the look. Roman had the family lineage. Roman had Vince's full backing. Rollins had to claw for everything. And he did. But make no mistake, Rollins didn't forget the slight. Not for a second. He waited. So when the cracks in the bloodline began to show, when the Usos rebelled, when Jey walked, when Solo looked unsure, Rollins didn't just watch. He calculated. And then came Paul Heyman. For years, Heyman was Roman's voice. His wise man. The constant on-camera strategist who seemed to be 2 steps ahead of every challenger. But what we didn't know was this. Heyman was always playing for his survival, not anyone else's. When the bloodline began to crumble, Heyman saw the writing on the wall. Roman's grip on the WWE universe was weakening. And for someone like Heyman, who has thrived by aligning himself with champions, from Brock Lesnar to CM Punk to Roman, weakness is a red flag. So he hedged his bets. In the months leading to WrestleMania 41, there were subtle signs. Heyman missing from backstage bloodline segments. Whispers that he was in Rollins' locker room. His absence from certain title defenses. But no one expected the full betrayal. Until it happened. WrestleMania 41. Triple threat. Roman Reigns vs. Seth Rollins vs. CM Punk. A clash of megastars. A dream match. A career ender for someone. The match was brutal. Roman dominated early. Rollins fought tactically. Punk played spoiler. It was back and forth. Everything fans hoped it would be. Then, late in the match, Roman sets up for the spear on Punk. Rollins is down outside. Heyman is on the apron, shouting encouragement. Roman pauses. Points to Heyman. They exchange a nod. Then Heyman does the unthinkable. He slides a chair, not to Roman, but to Seth Rollins. Rollins picks it up. Stumbles back into the ring. Roman turns, and wham. Steel meets spine. Roman collapses. The crowd is stunned. Rollins hits the curb stomp. Punk neutralizes a distraction. And just like that, Seth Rollins pins Roman Reigns in the center of the ring. 1, 2, 3. Roman's 1,316-day reign is over. The crowd explodes, but it's confusion, not celebration. Heyman slides into the ring and embraces Rollins. The WWE Universe has just witnessed one of the biggest betrayals in modern wrestling. Paul Heyman turned on Roman Reigns, the very man he helped mold into the tribal chief. And just like that, Seth Rollins is no longer a solo act. He's the new power broker in WWE. The aftermath was immediate. The next night on Raw, Rollins arrived with Heyman by his side and delivered one of the coldest promos of his career. I didn't just beat Roman Reigns. I ended the illusion. The empire fell because its foundation was built on lies. And I didn't do it alone. I had help from the smartest man in this business. Rollins gestured to Heyman, who grinned like the devil himself. That's when it became clear, Rollins wasn't just the new champion. He was now the commander of something much bigger. Enter Bron Breakker. The NXT phenom. Son of Rick Steiner. One of the most physically dominant young talents WWE has produced in years. And Bronson Reed. A mountain of a man. Cold. powerful, relentless. With Heyman guiding them, Rollins didn't just form a stable. He built a new age of control. This was no feel-good faction. This was precision warfare. They didn't talk about family. They didn't toast to brotherhood. They didn't preach tribal loyalty. They focused on results. Week after week, they dismantled whoever stood in their way. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes, even Drew McIntyre. Rollins wasn't just holding the belt, he was turning Raw into his personal chessboard. And the irony? He did it the same way Roman once did. By being smarter. By staying colder. By recruiting the right people. And by using Paul Heyman as the brains behind the curtain. This wasn't just about the title. It was about erasing Roman Reigns from the future of WWE. Every week Roman stayed silent, Rollins got louder. Every week the tribal chief stayed absent, Rollins made sure his name was buried a little deeper. And it worked. The WWE Universe started asking new questions. Is Roman done? Was the bloodline just a moment in time? Is Rollins now the guy? And for a moment, it looked like the answer was yes. But here's the problem with underestimating Roman Reigns. He never truly leaves the game. He just waits for everyone else to think he has. And now, after months of dominance, Rollins has something he hasn't had since 2014, a threat. Roman didn't come back alone. He brought someone new. Someone hungry. Someone Heyman didn't account for. Zilla Fatu. And here's where the math gets dangerous. Rollins may have Heyman, Breaker, and Reed, but Roman has something they don't, unpredictability. This new alliance with Zilla? It's not structured. It's not corporate. It's not a committee. It's war. No fanfare. No merch. Just chaos. And if history has taught us anything, it's that the most dangerous opponents are the ones who don't follow the script. So now, Rollins' reign is at risk. Because Roman isn't just back for revenge. He's back for reclamation. And Heyman? He better start watching his back. Because once Roman finishes with Rollins, he's going after the man who made it personal. This isn't a title chase anymore. This is personal. This is tribal. This is unfinished business with blood on the line. New Shield rumors, what's real, what's not. The moment Zilla Fatu walked onto that Raw stage beside Roman Reigns, the floodgates of speculation blew wide open. This wasn't just a surprise return, it was a loaded symbol. And in the WWE universe, symbols don't go unnoticed. They get dissected, exaggerated, memed, fantasy-booked, and turned into battlegrounds of theory. And so, within hours of Reigns' return, one phrase lit up every social platform, podcast title, Reddit thread, and YouTube comment section: The Shield 2.0 is here. Let's set the record straight. Is Roman Reigns reforming the Shield? No. Not exactly. But is he building something in its spirit? Something darker, more ruthless, and less beholden to nostalgia? Absolutely. And that's why fans can't stop talking about it. To understand why the phrase New Shield has taken off with such intensity, we need to rewind to the original. The Shield debuted in 2012, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Dean Ambrose. They arrived in black tactical gear, swarming ringside like hyenas. They spoke in half-threats and carried themselves like men on a mission. Within months, they weren't just a faction, they were a movement. They tore through everyone. Cena, Bryan, Kane, the Wyatts. Evolution. They weren't tag wrestlers. They were unit-based assassins. The Shield became known not for pageantry, but for dominance. When their music hit, people didn't cheer, they braced. But every faction has a fatal flaw, ego. And in 2014, it fractured. Rollins turned on his brothers with a steel chair and joined the Authority, kicking off one of the most iconic betrayals in WWE history. Years passed. Careers skyrocketed. Titles changed hands. But the memory of the Shield lingered. Every time two of the three crossed paths, fans asked, what if they reunited? And now, the narrative is twisting again, but this time, it's coming from Roman. Because if anyone remembers how the Shield felt, it's Reigns. He was the enforcer. The silent one. The guy who didn't talk much but wrecked everything in sight. And now that Rollins holds Heyman and the title, and Ambrose, now Jon Moxley, is off in AEW, Reigns isn't trying to recreate the past. He's weaponizing it. Enter Zilla Fatu. The comparisons were immediate. Young. Unforgiving. Serious. A silent force that doesn't smile, doesn't wave to the fans, and doesn't play politics. Sound familiar? Zilla feels like Roman Reigns circa 2012, but meaner. And that's exactly the energy this so-called new Shield is channeling. Except here's the twist, this one isn't built on idealism. The original Shield called themselves the Hounds of Justice. This version? No justice. Just vengeance. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Who's in? Who's out? The rumors are flying, and for good reason. WWE has been deliberately vague. No official faction name. No official alliance statements. But all the signs are there. And the fan theories are exploding. Let's break them down. Jey Uso, the redemption arc. The bloodline storyline always revolved around Jey. The emotional core. The first to bend the knee. The first to walk away. He was the one who finally snapped and superkicked Roman, kicking off the Empire's collapse. But now? There are whispers that Jey may return, not out of loyalty, but necessity. He's been drifting. Out of sync with everyone. Not aligning with Solo. Not trusting Heyman. He's walking alone, and the WWE Universe knows Jey Uso doesn't walk alone for long. If Roman offers him a spot in this new formation, it won't be out of love, it'll be a strategic truce. And that's what makes it even more compelling. Jey brings unpredictability. Emotion. History. And if he returns to Roman's side, fans won't know whether to cheer or brace for betrayal. Hikuleo, the monster import. 6 feet 8 inches. New Japan Pro Wrestling star. Younger brother to Tama Tonga. A silent wrecking ball. Word is Hikuleo may be WWE bound. And if that's true, Roman could be building something international. Something that isn't just tribal, it's global. Adding Hikuleo to a Roman-led squad would instantly give them size, power, and mystique. He doesn't talk. He hits. And that fits the mold Roman is crafting, soldiers who act, not speak. Think Diesel to Roman's Shawn Michaels. Or Batista to Triple H. Naomi, the Queen Pin rumor. She's family by marriage. She's been off TV long enough to make her return major. And in ring, she's lightning in a bottle. Naomi isn't just flashy, she's respected. And she's never been given the proper spotlight. A heel turn, aligned with a new version of Roman's empire? That would flip the women's division upside down. Fans are buzzing about her potential inclusion as the female ace of this new Shield. A silent assassin with high-flying ability. If the goal is to evolve, not replicate, what came before, Naomi is the perfect pick. Tamina, the veteran enforcer. People forget how long Tamina has been around. She's respected. Feared. Often underutilized. But her roots run deep in the Inoue family tree. She's a legitimate cousin to Roman. And she's never had a bloodline spotlight. This could be her moment. Put her in the mix with Zilla, Jey, and Naomi, and you suddenly have a full-force, gender-integrated war unit. Not just a faction, but a movement. Ava Raine, the wild card. The daughter of The Rock. She's still green. Still growing in NXT. But make no mistake, Ava Raine is in the pipeline. And if WWE decides to play the long game, she could emerge as the next generation queen of this faction. Right now, it's a long shot. But fans are already theorizing a civil war down the line, Ava versus Naomi. Roman's chosen daughter versus the people's choice. Zilla Fatu, the core. Let's be clear. This isn't a stable built around Roman. It's a launchpad for Zilla. He's the piece that changes everything. He gives the group youth, edge, relevance. He's not here to ride nostalgia. He's here to drag the group forward. Fans aren't asking if he'll succeed. They're asking how soon. What makes this new Shield different? The original Shield believed in justice. They were anarchists with morals. A pack of wolves who believed the system was broken and needed correction. This version? It has no morals. It's about survival. Revenge. Strategy. Roman isn't building unity, he's building leverage. The difference is huge. This faction doesn't see Seth Rollins as a traitor, they see him as a threat. Their mission isn't to cleanse WWE. It's to take back control. Brick by brick. And in that mission, there's no room for brotherhood. Only results. It's not just hype. The concept works. The Shield nostalgia is powerful, but fans are hungry for something new. Something that borrows from the old playbook but writes its own chapters. Zilla Fatu is the perfect symbol of that evolution. And adding names like Naomi or Hikuleo only strengthens the story. Because this new Shield, if it exists, isn't about getting the band back together. It's about building a new empire from the ashes of the old one. Roman Reigns is done playing tribal chief. Now he's the warlord. And this army? It's not bound by loyalty. It's bound by purpose.